For so many years, I've been telling people, you know, how things are happening, where things are going, fluctuation in the markets, especially in the housing market. Wages are tied to incomes. Incomes are not tied to real estate prices. We've been doing this for over 10 plus years now. And a lot of the replies I got over the last 10 years when it came to anything in finance, anything in lending, anything in leveraging, anything to do with total debt service ratios and figuring out, stress testing, figuring things out. The number one reply I got on this channel all these years was basically, I got a college degree in business. I'm a business macro scientist. I know business. I have university. You don't have nothing. My reply to that for all these years was, you could take the playbook, you could take the history lessons, the history business lessons, everything you learned in business, Business 101, and you could throw it right out the window because it means nothing. And I've been saying that for over 10 years. I said it on the last live stream last week. I said it the week before, when people were trying to question me or challenge me in the comments, or try to challenge me over all these years about these incredible degrees they have. And I kept saying, you got to throw that out the window because we're not playing on a fair playing field anymore. It's not real, right? This is not real. This is a very delusionary housing market we're having. And the reason why we're in this predicament today in December 2022 is because of money laundering. And it'll take years for it to actually get to that point where people start to realize that, holy crap. And someone sent me this and said, you know, Mike, I think you're going to want to see this. BlackRock says, throw out your old investment playbook. And we've been saying that for years. We're headed for a new regime of greater macro and market volatility. So there it is right there. I just wanted to throw this out there. This was sent to me, and my response to all these years was, what you learned or what you thought you learned in finance and in different levels of finance and gender research and all that stuff, you could throw all that stuff out the window. But yeah, so that's something that we've been saying for years, and I'm happy somebody sent me that. It's like, yeah, you know, Mike, I think I've actually 3 people sent me this link this morning. Like, Mike, you've been saying this. Everything that you thought you knew when it came to business and finance, it doesn't mean anything. So what does it mean now? Let me go back to what I was saying. It goes back and it ties to dirty money. Once you could figure out the dirty money, that's why they keep shutting down the money laundering investigations here in Canada. They keep shutting it down. They get a little bit of progress. They start getting 10, 20, 30,000 people that look like they have already in a couple of months of doing research and connecting the dots, and they shut it down. The Liberal government here in Canada shuts down the money laundering because money laundering is a big thing. We are in this predicament today, not because of bad investment deals and bad this and bad that and corporations hollowing themselves out. No, money laundering. And that's been the biggest problem we've had since day one. And I've been trying to do it, you know, making videos for you guys years ago to tell you guys that what you've learned or what you've been told doesn't make any sense. And everybody's argument to me or to rebut me is to tell me that, hey, you know what? I have a degree in finance. It's right there. So way back, look, we were already saying this. A lot of my videos were deleted. So from 7 years ago, Canadian middle class disappearing, Target closing in Canada, food becoming unaffordable. But why was the Canadian middle class disappearing 7+ years ago? Why? On January 15, 20, so 8 years ago in a couple of weeks. Why? Why was the middle class already disappearing? Why was all this stuff, wages not keeping up with inflation 8 years? It's all pretty much 7, 8 years ago. Why? Because of money laundering. Money laundering. Empty streets. Vancouver's now in a housing bubble. When was this? That was probably, again, like 7, 8 years ago. Housing markets across Canada go up. Bubble out of control. So this is why we're here today. And they put the foreign buyers tax to try and fix that. And then that only destroyed that foreign buyers tax destroyed the Toronto and Seattle housing market pretty much overnight. See, Canadian banks favor foreign investors over local Canadians. So Death of the department store by 2020. Housing crisis, what a mess. Bank runoffs. Wow. Investors fleeing. Look, investors fleeing to Toronto and Seattle to destroy the middle class there. Walking empty streets. So, there it is right there. Vacant homes will force more people into homelessness. So, that's that playbook of, you know, finance, this and that. When the going got tough, Bank of Canada just lowered interest rates. When they couldn't get first-time home buyers in the market, Bank of Canada just lowered interest rates. Hey, let's set up a stress test so to make sure that these Canadians that are getting these 1% mortgages could afford a 3% hike. Guess what they did? They scrapped the stress test because nobody in the Canadian major cities were qualifying for real estate because their total debt service ratio wouldn't fit. Period. Nothing. So you could take what you learned and all this thing and throw the playbook out the window. And the playbook, they call it the playbook. We call it the business, your business degree, whatever you learned, and business 101, whatever you thought you knew, throw it out. Same thing with even obviously politics is a big one, very big one, and we covered that on Mike of the Night. There's so many different distractions and so many different pickpocketing going around. They're picking each other's pockets. Hopefully a big channel could take that. They're picking each other's pockets around. And what they're doing is they're just, you know, picking each other's pockets and seeing who they could screw over more than the other person, because it all boils down to the extinction of the middle class. And I said it 8 years ago, Canadian middle class disappearing. I already knew it. I saw it with the empty homes and the takeover, and there's no accountability. And that's why I said in another video, Canada will not have another election. Canada will not have another election because there's too much accountability on the table. Either they have an election and another party wins to make the people happy and to create a positive public sentiment. Okay. So they go ahead. The other party wins, but there's going to be a clause, or there's going to be some sort of something that's going to be put in place that's going to allow the previous administration and all the government workers and all the people to continue working for the government, making $600,000-700,000 a year, doing whatever it is they do, but they won't be investigated, and that's a problem. So I think that's what they're going to do going forward. You're not allowed. They're going to pass a bill where you're not allowed to investigate the previous administration. I said it here first. Hopefully, a bigger channel could take this and see something on this and run with this. Run with this, because they're going to be doing this. Anyways, Mike Martin's here. Let me know what you guys think. I have spoken.